So this is Baruch Fleischman, and we're back once again to this Sefer, The Ultimate Connection with God, the 7-Step Guide to Jewish Spirituality, written by Rabbi Yosef Chaim MIMRAN. Now, when I'm using this book and the ideas in this Sefer, and I've been through certain sections of the Sefer many times because it's something that you have to refresh yourself with. Because it's a technique, these techniques work. The question is where in the past, and I'm always been and am Makurev to Breslov and the ideas of Rebbe Nachman, the ideas of connecting with God by talking to God, bringing him all of the different problems that you have. One of the places where a tool that we could use to get closer to God and the solution really to the tremendous problems that a lot of times we have is to be able to clear our minds properly and actually think of where we are in the universe. He has this postulate that let's say there's a Yetzer Tov and a Yetzer Hara in your brain. And so the Yetzer Hara is constantly worrying and going over different kinds of problems. This can lead to depression. So you have to build up the other side. The other side is the perceptive side. The side that sees actually where you are in the world, because it's the godly side. It's the side where God, the Shekhinah, is looking at us and in us. In and out. But we necessarily are following what's going on the other side of our brain, and that's where I got into Rabbi MIMRAN. So there's two places with trouble. When there's trouble. And this could be trouble as little as you have a problem with your fingernail, or you have a plumbing leak that's causing a lot of aggravation. You can't get it fixed. All of these things are places where you can see yourself in context and maybe be able to make a proper decision, because you would have the godly decision, the ability to be able to see what's going on in the bigger scale. And that's what Rabbi MIMRAN wants to do, to teach us how to clear our minds and how to be able to look at our situation. Now that's one area where we have troubles. This is a very Kabbalistic idea here, because what we're doing is we're trying to elevate our problems to the level of the Almighty, get our prayers answered. So, the other is when we go to actually pray. So those of you who pray 3 times a day like I do, which I recommend for anybody, because it really will perfect the rhythm of your life. At any rate, that's a rhythm of itself, praying 3 times a day. Just thinking about that. He says to be able to clear your mind, even at a moment in the Shemona Esrei. Because as soon as we begin to enter into this holy realm, which the Kabbalists say that this is Olam Atzilus, the Olam Atzilus of our world is the highest level we can get at that moment in that day. But all kinds of thoughts, out of thought, all different kinds of things come into our brains at that time. And it makes it very difficult to concentrate on the words, even though we're trying, the words that we're saying, getting into the rhythm of that. This is also the ultimate connection with God. How do we clear those out? I'm trying to make use of them, because they're all about really the problems that I have. And if I could only connect my direction, that is what they're saying inside, just there's a disconnect between all the thoughts and what I want to do in terms of my davening. So I'm thinking that I have to learn more about, I have to be better organized to daven, to have the proper connection, to have the proper intention, and to be able to use the clearing processes that we find in this book. Now, here we're going to come over to a section where he is really working on more technique to try to get us to the place where, one, we can handle our problems, which, are never-ending, and secondly, how to pray properly. So he writes like this. This is a piece which is called Nothingness. The general idea of the rectification is that the lower worlds should be connected with the higher worlds until all of them are attached to the infinite one. So when we say worlds, they are also the word for Olam, which is universes. Also means Helen, which Rabbi MIMRAN has pointed out before. It means the hiddennesses. Then it can be said that all is one, when they all attach. This is the completion of the middle and the connection of the beginning and the end. And in truth, this is the fundamental point of serving Hashem. Now, in other words that we see, and I use this phrase a lot, teaching different things, is the word yichud, to bring things into oneness, because the power of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu we see in other places is the power of oneness. So whenever you see that there are separations taking place, then you have to worry about that, because that's what we need, is to bring things together, but not in so much in a physical sense, because physicality by definition is not one, but multiple. It's already split. But interior to them, we say panimi to them, is the light of oneness. But it has a lot of what goes on to the world has to be ignored. So let me see if I get some light on this, if it helps in any way. This is the light there. I don't know if it helps. So if he wanted to visualize nothingness in a meditative state, so he says, before you go to pray, and as you are confronting that difficult situation in which you find yourself, you would have to take this perception of nothing and bring it into your mind's eye. Because the truth is that the world is really a set of illusions. They're very concrete, but they're a set of illusions, because inside of them and beyond them is nothing. In a normal state of consciousness, it would be impossible. But in higher states of consciousness, with training and practice, it can be accomplished. Indeed, in a number of systems of meditation, it's an important practice. For one thing, filling the mind with nothingness is a highly effective way of clearing it of all perception. So he's saying in here that there are a lot of miscues in the world. Our emotions, perhaps he says in other places, guide us in the direction of our bodily needs. But these are not necessarily the directions we want to be going in. So in order to do that, one has to come to a 0 point, where perception is not being outside influenced by needs, which are personal. You have to get to a state of nothing. It is a highly effective way of clearing it of all perception. That's what I was talking about, that you don't see anything there. You don't make anything out of anything. There are some experiences that are so subtle that even the visualization of blackness, so you try to look in your mind, picture of something black, or empty space could overshadow them. So there are some experiences that are so subtle that even the visualization of blackness or empty space could overshadow them. However, when the mind is filled with the experience of nothingness, it's not black, it's not empty space, it's open to the most subtle influences. Now, one of the influences that the mind can detect while visualizing nothingness is the spiritual. Now, what does that mean? In such a state, the spiritual can appear very spectacular, since the nothingness in the mind can be filled with that which comes from without. Of course, visualizing nothingness is a highly advanced technique. Now, I'm trying to understand what he means by spiritual. I don't know what he means, because if your mind is empty and there's nothing there, then what's spirit? So the spiritual, however, can be experienced on much simpler levels. Indeed, there appears to be an area of the mind that is particularly receptive to the spiritual experience. Sometime without warning, a person can have a spiritual experience that leaves him awestruck or exhilarated. More intense spiritual experience can have a profound effect on a person's entire life. One immediate effect of mantra meditation, that is repeating, say for example, we have the phrase Rabbanu Shalom, Rabbanu Shalom, Rabbanu Shalom, Rabbanu Shalom. One effect of that is to relax the body. In this form of meditation, it seems that the more the body relaxes, the more active the mind becomes. It is as if energy is released by the body, which can be used by the mind. Let's read this again. Now the mantra, we have an idea what that is. It relaxes the body. Well, in this form of meditation, it seems that the more the body relaxes, the more active the mind becomes. Now, what does that mean? It is as if energy is released by the body, which can be used by the mind. Now, he means, I don't know what he means by active, because I'm thinking this is Rabbi, the first time I met him, he started talking about the monkey talk that's going on inside of your brain. It's very interesting. He used the word monkey talk. Now here he's talking about relaxing the body to such extent that the mind becomes more active. It is because of the release of energy. I guess he's saying that the body has a certain amount of tension in it. By using a mantra, you can release the tension. When one repeats a mantra over and over, the mind also becomes habituated to it. Eventually it becomes able to say it without the words registering in the conscious mind. By this time, one has also formed the habit of erasing all thought from the mind while reciting the mantra. It's therefore a highly effective psychological means of removing all thought from the mind. This may seem quite mundane. Let's go back over it again. Now, I had some problems with this, so I wanted to see it again. So, let's say he's saying you repeat a mantra over and over, you get used to it. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is it because you got used to it, it's like nothing, it's no big deal anymore, or you don't pay attention to it? But he says eventually one becomes able to say it without the words registering in the conscious mind. And that's what that sounds like to me. It sounds like, it's like a rote deal. By this time, one has also formed the habit of erasing all thought from the mind while reciting the mantra. Now he says, I guess this is a component of this idea. The mantra allows thought to leave the mind. It's therefore a highly effective psychological means of removing all thought from the mind. And I'm sure that, like I say, I'm a little doubt about what he meant at the very beginning about, because I know myself. So, but now I'm getting more and more interested in trying a mantra. At least he said like 20 minutes. I think it'll be a long time for me, but I don't know. I might try a few minutes. Maybe I'll try 10. I don't know. I don't know what it'll be like. Seems interesting. This may seem quite mundane and non-mystical. However, the mantra does not necessarily have to be the mystical element in the meditation. No? The mantra can serve as a means of clearing the mind. It clears the mind of mundane thought, all the problems that you have, leaving it to open to other transcendental experiences. Now, what would that be? This can be true no matter how non-mystical the mantra is. Now, I know a man in my community who does mantras. He knows a lot of them. He doesn't know that much about the Ari. He doesn't know about anything, but he knows mantras. So, indeed, in certain types of clinical meditation, now I'm assuming clinical must mean meditation with a psychologist. He said that she said, I don't know what clinical meditation means. A nonsense word can be used as a mantra. You could take anything, gobbledygook. You can say gobbledygook, 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 gobbledygook. Say it over and over and over again. Nevertheless, if the mantra has spiritual power in its own right, that's the point. The point he's saying is that by repeating the mantra, you're creating an interface between yourself and the higher worlds. Because the mantra has a spiritual power in its own right. When you say the word, any word, which is holy, Kadosh, 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 Kadosh. Actually, Kadosh is the mantra. It's certain mantra of 4 and 10. It's the whole deal amongst the Kabbalists what actually has when you say Kadosh, Kadosh. So I just took that for example. Because you're Shabbos, 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 Shabbos. You can say that over and over and over again. It not only clears the mind of mundane thought, but it also puts the meditator into a special spiritual space. Now he's saying because you're on the side of an interface. Interface means that it is a portal, a door, to enter into a higher realm. This requires the mantra. Now the form of the mantra can be extremely important if one wishes to accomplish a specific spiritual goal during one's meditation. Now, I'm not sure what Rabbi MIMRAN meant by that. When he says to accomplish a specific spiritual goal during one's meditation, what would that goal be? Although mantra meditation is not the most typical form of meditation, let me read it again because I left out a big word, is not the most typical Jewish form of meditation. It's one of the simplest. As in general meditation, it consists of repeating a word or a phrase over and over, usually for a period of a half an hour each day. The most important element of the meditation is that it be done daily, and that there is a commitment to continue the practice for at least a month. Now, it usually takes between 30 and 40 days for the results of this type of meditation to manifest. Well, I want to try something, and in my schedule and in the way that I live my life, there's probably lots of ways that I could put this mantra meditation into my system. But it's not part of my system of life. What I do when I get up in the morning, would have to insert it. Now, there are places in my day where I could definitely do that. But so far, I'm a wannabe. So this is Baruch Fleischman. We've been reading this tremendous sefer, the ultimate connection with God. Rabbi Yosef Chaim MIMRAN.